Alright guys, I just want to do a real quick little overview tutorial here on rendering out a turntable, just as a kind of a recap from the last lecture. What I have here is just kind of a simple little scene, just an object with a light, lighting's turned on, and what I want to do is take this that we already have designed and is rendering okay, and just show you how to make a little turntable with it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my timing, which comes as a little button over here, and you can see that I've got playback speed, real time, get all these different settings. Well, that's what I want to go to. I want to go to settings, and I want to change my time to 30 frames per second. This is NTSC versus film. Most everything we're going to be doing as far as videos, YouTube, all that kind of stuff runs at NTSC, 30 frames per second, so we're going to work on at that one. If we were doing film, or if this was going to be for movies, then 24 would be what we would want to operate on, but for the moment NTSC is definitely a little better in this case. Alright, so that sets our timing up, and as you can see it changes our time scale out to 60. Alright, 60. 60 means we have now 2 seconds of audio, or 2 seconds of video in order to work with, which should give us enough time to go around the object pretty well, okay, to kind of display it off. You can later on adjust your timing and change things like that in order to give a better presentation, but for the moment 60 frames should give us what we're looking for. So what we want to do is, the first thing we want to do is add a camera to the scene. Right now, if you go to your rendering tab, you'll see this little icon here that says create camera. So if we click on that, it's going to drop this icon into the scene, and this icon is representing the camera, okay, a new camera in our scene. Right now this panel is in perspective view, but if we want to be able to look through the camera, we can change the panel perspective camera 1, okay, in which case we have this. Alright, so what we're wanting to do here is just position the camera, okay, so to kind of so it kind of frames our image, frames the scene we're trying to set up. The other thing I want to do is go to view, go to camera settings, and go to resolution gate. And what this will do is it'll crop out everything in our viewport that's not set up with our view. So right now I'm planning on rendering out a 640/480. That means that's a 4:3. The 4:3 is going to be much more narrow, so then that's why it's set up. Alright, so you can change those settings up here in our render settings. It'll be under common, and you'll be able to see your image size of the preset. So if I change that from 640/480 to say HD 720, you'll see that the border changes, okay, from a normal screen to a wide screen. So 1024 is a 4:3 ratio, whereas 720 is going to be your widescreen. Okay, so first thing is to frame this, set it up kind of how we want it, and we can go ahead and do a little test render here real quick. Thinking. Alright, so if that looks good, we'll go ahead and move off of this one. Generally speaking, what you'd want to do is stay outside of your camera, set it up, but then don't touch it again. A lot of times I will go and I will actually lock the camera. So I'll take my translates and my rotates here and select them, right click, and then go and hit lock selected. And what that keeps me from doing is being able to come in here and move my camera. Okay, it just locks everything in once I've got a good position. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to want to do is give myself something that can make the rotation with. So let's go to curves and circle, create a new circle here, and then that's going to be the parent object of our camera. So to attach these, let's go to window, outliner, brings up all the stuff in our scene, and this real quickly middle mouse drag the camera onto the circle so it gets nested. Okay, that's the basic parenting. So once we do that, okay, then what we'll be able to find is that, let's see here, panel, perspective, make sure it's set to camera 1, is as we rotate this, it's going to rotate our scene. See that? Yay. Okay. So camera 1, this thing's actually got moved out somehow or another. So let's change that back. So where is my camera? Camera. All right, what I did was I unlocked the camera and moved it back into a good position here. You'll see that as I rotate, it's moving the camera. All right, so the next thing we want to do is set up our animation keyframes. All right, so what we're going to be doing is rotating this circle around that rotate Y axis. So what we want to do is key this. So let's go to frame 1, set to 0, right click, go to key selected. Okay, and then drag the slider all the way to 60, right click, and do a key selected. And what that'll do now is it'll play, or should play, our animation. Let's see. Alright, well, aren't you? Okay, let's try 360 and then key selected. There we go. Alright, so now we have our camera moving around the viewport. If we click here and put play, it'll play. Okay, but it's not looping correctly. We have this stop and start. Alright, to fix that, the easiest way to do this is to click on here, hold down shift and click so it highlights this keyframe, right click, go to tangents, go to linear, and then on the same side here, click, right click, tangents, linear. And now the animation should play nice and consistently. Okay, so with that set up, we now have our animation complete. We now just need to render the thing. So to render it out, what we want to do is, once you have all your render settings done, we want to render it out as a series of images. So I'm just going to call this one test loop for the moment, or I guess something is test turntable. Okay, image format for the moment I'm just going to do JPEG. Why? Because that'd be fine. Frame name, I like name underscore dot number dot extension. I just think that this layout here makes it nice and clear for what it is. So as you can see, we have our file name here going to here. Okay, somehow our project's been changed, but that's okay. Frame padding, I'm going to make the frame padding 1. So we start at 0, 1, and we'll end at 60. Alright, start frame can be 1. The end frame I want to be at 59. Remember, frame 60 is going to be at 360, and frame 1 is going to be at 0. So in order to make that nice loop, we only need the 58 frames of animation, and we want it to end at this 353.8 whatever. What that'll allow us to do is have a complete looped animation. Alright, renderable camera needs to be set to camera 1. Why? Because we don't want to render a perspective camera, we want to render camera 1. And then our size is, this time I'm going to go with the HD render. Let's actually change that back down to something nice and easy, the 640/480, and we'll be ready to render. Alright, so all things being considered, everything should be set up now for animation. Now what we need to do is change this from polygon mode to rendering mode, go to render and batch render. And it's going to start it up. It's going to say start rendering with mental ray or software or whatever we're wanting to do. And there she goes. It's going to start rendering the frames. I'm going to pause this video while it's rendering, because this is going to take a while, and come back and show you how to put these together. Okay, so the rendering's finished, and as you can see, I have the turntable images all nicely saved in a folder. Alright, so what's an easy way of turning these single still images into a animation? Well, the easiest way to do it is going to be to use Fcheck. So what I want to actually do is I want to go and select them all, like so. Right click, say open with. Let's see here, where should be? Guess not. Alright, let's try this. Open with, choose another program. This is on Windows, so it'll be a little different on the Mac. Program files, Autodesk, 2013, bin, and Fcheck. There you go. Alright, so just go ahead and open this and hit OK. And it'll open up like that. Alright, there's another way to get to this, but the main thing is you want to open up Fcheck. Go to File, and let's go to Open Animation. Alright, so that didn't work. Let's go to Open Image. All the way up to here. Open. After playing with several of the settings of the Fcheck, on the Windows side, it will not let me export it out as an animation. I can still load up the files by opening Image, selecting the images, and bringing them in, meaning what I would do is I would select turntable 1 and let it go. But it will not let me save it an animation in any kind of a file, so that's kind of a bust. But on the Macs, you'll be able to do it and save it out as a move. That'll be the easiest way to get this stuff done.